Hello everybody, October 24th, 2022. We're going to take a look at Bitcoin's action. First off, what I said on Friday. We had dropped to the 18.6 low as expected, and I loaded up and longed. And at that time, on Friday, we had a potential 5 waves up, plus the next micro 1 and 2 forming then on Friday. And my feeling was we were going to see it continue higher from where we were on Friday. Now, we did not get a full 5 waves up to 19.9, and it doesn't look like we're going to. At this point, the action today was very choppy and broke down below some key levels. And so pretty much all of this is out the window now as written. I still think, we have multiple possibilities that, we can still get to this 20 to 21 area. We can go back down and revisit the 18.6 low and then go back up there. There's lots of different possibilities, but, I was hoping that Bitcoin would make it easy by giving us 5 waves up, and then we would be looking at, one of these scenarios and kind of keep it easy and have clear levels to look at, but we do not. So let's take a look at what happened. I'll try to, let me just go down to the 5-minute and show you what I was looking at previously and why I think it's no longer happening. So the initial move I was looking at was right here. This was going to be a 1 and a 2, and then this action, which we saw this weekend, would have been a micro 1, 2, and then we would have proceeded upwards from there. So let me just show you the fib extension that I was originally looking at and why. Up until this started breaking down late last night, we were still on the path actually to complete 5 waves up. So you can see here's our initial 1, 2, that's the fib extension drawn. Micro 1 is supposed to go to about 618, that's where we went. Micro 2 is supposed to hold the 382, that's where we went. It went a little bit low, but not terribly so. And then micro 3 of 3 is supposed to go to the 1236, that's where that went. 4 came down here a little bit shallow, and then 5 of 3, which is what it was looking like at the time, normally gets to about the 1618, and we got there, right? Now from there, we should have seen the 10 hold, ideally, and certainly not break below the 764. And you can see, obviously, we've broken down below this, not only the 764, but the 618 as well. And so we have to completely throw out that 5-wave move right here. That we're just tossing that basically. Even though it was working out really nicely, it ended up breaking down, and so that's gone now. So the way this looks to me is 3 waves. I see an ABC at this point as most likely, and for further proof of that, from the high to the low there, A and B, fib extension drawn there. The place that C would get to is the 10 extension. Most typically, that's the normal target. And you can see we rejected right there at the 10 extension and started downwards from there. So that is my primary scenario there. That is an ABC, okay? So what does that mean for the future now? Well, it means that things have gotten complicated again, which is annoying, but it is what it is. It's what we have to work with. So the only other possibility, I don't see this as highly likely, but maybe there's somehow 5 waves up in here. I really don't see it, but maybe there is, and maybe we're getting a retrace now, and then we're going to go up from there. I view that as highly, highly unlikely, but I'm going to keep that on as a bullish possibility, or I'll put it on as a bullish possibility so that we can keep track, only if it starts proving it, and I don't think it's going to happen. So let's talk about possibilities then. First off, this low here at 18.2, we do still have possible 5 waves up there, and we've got our nice 3-wave correction downwards there. So as I said, my main assumption was that we were going to get into this danger zone here and then still head down to the sub 17.8 level. That's still the main assumption that I have at this point. We got darn close to it, so technically it could be done. I just think it's kind of unlikely that it's done. I think more realistically we probably want to break that high. Kind of like how I said, here I said that weekend low is likely to break, which it did before reversing back upwards. So the Bitcoin loves to run stops, right? So it ran a whole bunch of stops there and then went upwards. So I expect that we will at some point get up here to run those stops before we head downwards. That makes the most sense to me. Doesn't mean it's absolutely going to happen, it's just kind of what I'm expecting. So there's a couple different ways that could happen. Number one is that this could be a W, right? If we have 3 waves up, like this, 3 waves up, that can be a WXY. Here's W, here's X, and 3 waves down for the Y, right? We might be doing yet another WXY. So we could do W, this is part of X, and Y goes up here. And so this red box here is what I have on here for that to be the case. Between 19.8 and 20.4 is kind of where all of these boxes overlap, and the 1.0 extension is like right around 20.2. And that would complete a WXY up before we head down. It would also serve to break that high, which is 19,950, and take out the stop losses that are above that. So I think, I hesitate to give a primary scenario because once we get this choppy action, honestly, anything is possible, but that makes the most sense to me for what this is doing. And that would basically be completing this move here that I've been waiting for before heading down further. It is possible 20,000, like 20.5 would actually retest these highs again as well, which is certainly a possibility because we've been stuck in this range of 18.1-ish to 20.5-ish for quite some time, and this corrective pattern that I have drawn on here is an expanded flat W, X, and Y. So it really makes sense, since this came down to test that low, that this high would come up here to test that high. So even though the 1.0 extension is at 20.2, it doesn't mean we're not going to get a little further and get to about 20.5 instead. But at this point, I am realistically expecting Bitcoin to be held below 20.5 and then head downwards. I think that's, again, the most likely scenario for however much we can actually trust that. Again, choppy action, we can't really say something is super likely, but okay. So there we go. That's what I think is happening here. Let me just kind of clean up my chart here. I kind of throw these things on throughout the day and then want to go back and relabel them. So that should be a lower degree ABC there. All right, the other possibility, like I said, is we already maybe topped there, and perhaps we're making a new 5-wave move down. It's not impulsive at all, not impulsive looking at all, but we could be doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, basically retest this low again at about 18.6 in one way or another, and then go up, still hit this region, and then come down, always a possibility. So I need to keep that on there as well. That gains in probability if we break today's low, which is about 19,150. Doesn't mean it's definitely going to do it if it breaks that, just makes it more likely. I think this box here generally is a reasonable area for support to happen still, and it's really only if we fully break down below that box that I'm going to say, okay, yeah, we're going to retest 18.6. And then the question is, does that 18.6 hold and bounce us, or does it just continue downwards? And that remains to be seen as well. So practically, what I'm doing is I've set break-even stops on all of my positions because I entered right about here. My average entry is 18.8. And so if we get down below, that green box, like I said, I would want to just stop out because it's possible we bounce here, but it's also possible we continue downward. So I'd want to get out and just wait for things to clarify. So that is my practical takeaway from the action that we've seen, is set break-even stops, and that way at least you don't lose money. And that is on my leverage longs as well as my spot positions. I've got break-even stops on all of it. So if it breaks down, I've lost nothing. I go back to all of the cash that I had previously, and then I can deploy it lower down. All right, let us look at the bullish possibility. Honestly, I said maybe there's a way that's 5 waves. I don't see it. So I'm going to put on here the only bullish possibility that I can see would be a diagonal at this point, unless this comes down and just touches that and then pushes upwards hard. I suppose this could still be a 1 and a very extended 2 before going up to hit that green 3. So I'm going to leave, I guess I'll leave that on there for now, but I'm going to move this 2 over because it really requires a reset of that 2 in order to make that happen, because the action off here is just so choppy and ugly. And then I suppose there is a possibility, rather than a WXY, we are doing a C wave here, which normally, well, I think it's a C wave, which normally should be 5 waves. I suppose those 5 waves could form as a diagonal, and in that case, this is ABC of 1. We can do ABC down in 2, and then go up from there in 5 waves. Let me show you what that might look like. It may involve a drop lower down here in the meantime. I'm not exactly sure, but generally something like this. And then that could possibly reach the higher area of this larger danger zone that I've had on. So this could do something like this: 1, ABC of 2, ABC of 3, ABC 4, ABC 5. It could get us up into that sort of 21K region by doing 5 waves in a diagonal. It's possible, but I wouldn't bet on it. Even it's certainly not something to highly leverage on. So I think my plan, again, practically take away from all of this, is that I'll want to take profits in this zone here, especially on my leverage longs. If I want to do anything else and kind of hold on for higher, it will only involve moving my stop up on like spot positions and holding on to spot positions. Once we get into that red zone, I will not be playing leverage, except for potentially grabbing shorts. And then even if this 5 waves plays out, I'll just short again higher as a possibility. So that's what I'll be watching for. But as I said, many possibilities. I'm probably not even going over all of them, to be honest. This is very choppy action, so anything can happen. But I do expect, as I said, this box here to constrain Bitcoin for now and keep pressure to the downside. It could break down more directly, and as long as we are stuck between these 2 levels, today's high and low, we really don't have an answer. I would say above today's high, 18,450. If we get above that, we probably accelerate upwards in that green path that I have drawn on there. And below here, We may find support, or we may accelerate downwards into the red path, but then even that, as I said, really could go either direction at that point. And I'll want to go back to cash because the uncertainty is just too great from there. All right, I think that sums up everything. I wish that we were getting some better action here that could inform some better decisions, but I think this, gives us a good plan anyway. The most important part of trading is capital preservation, and so whenever I have an opportunity to say, yep, I'm moving my stop to break even because things are too uncertain, I'm going to go ahead and take that, absolutely, so that I live to fight another day and can put money back in when things seem a little bit higher as far as the reward versus the risk. And that's how you make money in the long run. So don't get caught up too much trying to play all of these short-term little moves right now. All right, everybody, have a good week. Stay safe this week, and I will talk to you all on Friday.